juggling at the rumors of war.
How effective is communication in your organization? Whenever we ask this question, the usual answer is not very good. It's a universal truth that everyone complains about poor communication. And our guess is that your organization's no different. But what if we were to tell you that communication inside your organization today, at this very moment, is really strong? You have information spreading far and wide at lightning speed. Communication that makes sure everyone knows what's happening, even when they're on leave. Could it be that you have a communication superhighway that's so transparently efficient and effective that it's a blind spot for you? What could it be? You've probably guessed it. Yes, your communication superhighway is the rumor mill. The negative stories people tell about what went wrong. The troubles ahead, who stuffed up, and who did what to who. Communication that's fast, fail-safe and eagerly received. And guaranteed to be recalled, again and again and again, for months and years to come. What makes the rumor mill so effective? It's because it's full of red bus stories. Stories about threats. Stories about harm. Red bus stories about what they are doing to us. Stories of being in the know about something not good. Not only do we win social status by sharing red bus stories, but we are biologically primed to be on the lookout for threats and to pass on warnings to others about potential harm. In ancient times, survival favored those individuals and groups who were most alert to threat. Even if it meant calling the alarm when no real threat was present, it was better to pass on an uncertain threat than to stay silent on one that was real. Add to that the fact we tend to pay much more attention to losses than we do to gains. Avoiding the poisonous berry was usually a bigger thing than finding an additional meal. And not getting clubbed on the head was more valued than the prospect of making friends with someone living in the next valley. And so it is that in the 21st century, long after all the saber-toothed cats and marauding tribes have long vanished, we are left with social instincts that see red bus stories ripple amplified quickly and efficiently. Stories of loss and threats and villains and victims travel at the speed of light and trigger negative emotions, while stories of wins and kindness and things going right are much less likely to get acknowledged, let alone shared. What does this have to do with culture change? Humans and our social systems are perfectly tuned to emphasize the negative. It's the red bus stories that are most readily shared. The more red bus stories we hear, the more likely we are to think and act like a victim and hop on the green bus. And then we share our own green bus stories of victimhood and things gone wrong. Without anyone orchestrating it, we naturally fall into a pattern of sharing red bus and green bus stories. So it shouldn't be a surprise that we end up with red bus and green bus cultures. In short, the stories we tell is the culture we create. So if the stories we tell are reinforcing the culture we don't want, what do we need to do? If we want a blue bus culture, we need to do two things with the stories we tell. First, each of us needs to take responsibility to stop trading in red bus and green bus stories. We aren't responsible for what others say to us, but we are responsible for how we respond, and we have a choice to not pass it on. And secondly, and just as importantly, we need to make a conscious effort to ripple amplify blue bus stories. Blue bus stories are the stories of things going right. Tell stories that acknowledge when people display blue bus behaviors and mindsets. Tell blue bus stories that celebrate progress as well as success, and share stories of people just making an effort. Tell blue bus stories of excellent failures, people having a go even if they don't get it exactly right, but learning in the process. Tell blue bus stories of people choosing to be an upstander, or backmarking their peers, when perhaps the easier thing to do would have been to stay quiet. Tell blue bus stories of good ideas and new solutions that one team comes up with that other teams can learn from. And blue bus stories don't have to be about big things. Particularly early in the change, it will be the little F's that are most important. The small changes or gains that are most readily dismissed are the ones that need to be acknowledged and shared. So there you have it, putting the stories we tell is the culture we create into action. If we want to create a blue bus culture, we need to ripple diffuse the red bus and green bus stories. And we need to deliberately look for blue bus stories, and to ripple amplify them within teams and across the organization. Remember, the stories we tell is the culture we create. And, if we're not consciously shaping stories around the blue bus culture we want, the current culture will prevail. Which bus do you choose to drive?